Hello. In this segment, we're going to talk about something that I'm asked to discuss on a regular basis. Whenever I lecture, whenever I'm in a group of people that find out what I do, etc. And that's celebrity stalking. We'll get it out of the way early here because remember that celebrity stalking is only about 10% of all stalking. But it's important because there's a lot of attention that is raised every time a celebrity is stalked, and people ask me, "Well, does that bother you?" And I say, "No, absolutely not, because they're victims of crime as well, and we want that to be taken care of." The difference is that they have teams that associate with them that help them with stalking, and other people that are normal victims of stalking don't have those issues. But before I get into that, I need to uh, clear up a couple things. Throughout the course of these conversations that we're going to have with each other, I get things on my website where people ask me questions like apparently I had a couple of my dachshunds decided that they're going to open up the back doors of my office and take off and go chase something, probably a bird or a squirrel or something like that. Just so you know, my wife and I are dachshund herders, and you may see them running around the office from time to time because they're always in here when I'm trying to talk to you or working on a project or whatever else. They like to sleep in here with me. And so occasionally they'll be scratching at the door, want to get out, or they'll be scratching at the door trying to get in. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's get back to the topic of hand. Um, Again, 10% of all stalking approximately is celebrity stalking. Celebrities are stalked all over the world. Um, and there's a reason for that, that most celebrity stalkers are delusional. Now, most stalkers, the vast majority of them, are not delusional, even though many do have mental disorders. But um, we have a situation where we have an erotomatic scenario that transpires with celebrity stalkers. Oftentimes, their stalkers believe that they have a relationship with them. And every time they see him on television, or every time they see him on a talk show, or every time they see him in a movie, they actually believe that particular celebrity is communicating with them. We've had celebrity stalkers that tell us that they've communicated with their victims when there no television is on. It's just sound that's coming out of the television, and they communicate with them that way, or they psychically communicate with that particular celebrity. Most people believe that the stalking law was generated because of celebrity stalking. And unfortunately, when Rebecca Schaefer was killed by her stalker, who came from Arizona to California, he was able to get a private investigator at that time, before he had certain laws in place, to gather information on her through her DMV records, etc. He tried to contact her at her place of work at the studio, and fortunately, security guards removed him from the premises. He brought her gifts, etc. However, he was able to find out where she lived, and when she came to the front door, he executed her with a 357 Magnum point blank in the chest. Now, tragic as that is, that helped move the law forward, but it wasn't the reason for the anti-stalking law. The reason for the anti-stalking law was because at that time a Fullerton state senator in California, Edmund Royce, felt that there was a problem out there that law enforcement could not address because there was no legislation in regards to domestic violence and intimate partner scenarios. So he and a judge at that time, a municipal court judge named Watson, John Watson, got involved with developing the first anti-stalking legislation. And that was primarily due to the fact that there were about 4 to 5 Orange County females that were stalked by their significant others and then killed as a result of that stalking. If law enforcement had had the stalking law in place, they might better been able to handle those situations. But let's get back to celebrity stalking. Do I work a lot of celebrity stalkings? No, I don't. But I do occasionally take on a case. For example, I'm working a case in Northern California right now that we discussed previously that we're going to talk about, and that has to do with a baseball oriented celebrity. In other words, I can't tell you who it is, and it's not actually a baseball player, but is a celebrity that's involved with that or with an organization. I got a contact from the California District Attorneys Association, Department of Justice in California, and they asked me if I would help a DA investigator that was working the case. And I said, sure, I do that. I don't charge law enforcement for assisting them on cases. I only charge law enforcement when I train. Because I was a cop, I still work cold case homicides from time to time. I'm going to help those people with their cases. So what happened is I get a hold of this DA investigator, and she is an outstanding investigator, but she never really quite worked a stalking before, nor had she ever worked something like this. This stalking has been transpiring for the last 3 to 4 years, and the stalker has a mental disorder, which we won't discuss because the case just got filed and it's ongoing. But what he did is he contacted this female just briefly at an organizational event, and then he fell in love with her and felt that she was his wife, again in an automatic stalking scenario. So what happened is she had a child, and whenever that happens to a the targeted victim of stalking, it becomes a real issue for law enforcement, because oftentimes the stalker believes that's his child. And in this case, it's the same thing. He felt that that was his child, even though it was never his child. He never had a relationship with this lady. He never did anything with her, never went out. They didn't have coffee, no contact whatsoever other than that one brief hi-bye type scenario that transpired. Now, she had a husband, and so the first thing I asked was, has he contacted the husband? And sure enough, he had. He'd gone to the husband's office and told the husband, in no uncertain terms, that he was the father of that child and that he needed to stay away from his victim because he was now taking over. So, what happened also is the fact that this stalker went out and went to court, didn't hire an attorney, just went to court, and they do this all the time, and sued the victim for paternity. In other words, he was trying to get her to give her DNA sample and have his DNA sample compared for ownership of that child. He got very far in the court system, unfortunately, and it cost her several $1,000s to hire attorneys to defend herself in regards to this. But this is some of the stuff these guys do. Now the case has been filed, it's getting ready to go to trial, and so we can't discuss it any further. Now, other celebrity stalkers, I was contacted when Sandra Bullock, who unfortunately gets stalked all the time, was stalked when she lived in her Sunset Beach home in the county of Orange. I was contacted by the law enforcement agency that was in charge of that case, and I gave them my stalking protocol and told them exactly what they needed to do in regards to the prosecution and investigation. Unknown if they followed through on that, because I didn't get involved with all the nuts and bolts of the case. I can tell you what it was she had a female stalker at this time, and this is at a time I believe she was married to Jesse James. So the female stalker would show up at her residence at all times of the day and night, send her notes, cards, etc., gifts, which is oftentimes part and parcel of the stalking scenario. And then she would do things like lay in her driveway, forcing whoever was pulling into the driveway to stop and get out and confront her. At one point in time, Jesse James came out and she tried to run him over. That's one of the primary reasons that she was arrested in regards to that. So these are the things we get involved with all the time. I am not a celebrity, nor would I ever want to be a celebrity, but keep in mind that being a celebrity is a two-edged sword. You have to be in the public eye, that's part of your job, but there are times when you don't really want to be in the public eye. And we tell celebrities all the time, please do not have shows done where they walk through your house and you show everything about your house because you're proud of it, etc., or you want to gain more attention, etc. Because what happens is the stalkers get all that information, they record those shows, or they send away for them, and they memorize everything about that. Don't bring your children out and show your children off. We don't want you to do that because celebrities gather all that information. Of course, celebrities have another problem, that's called the paparazzi. Now, there was 2 laws in California in regards to paparazzi because they do, in fact, really stalk celebrities to try and get the best photo, etc. They have all kinds of ways of doing it. They trespass on property. They invade their privacy all the time, and that becomes a real issue. And in fact, some paparazzi are actually what I would really classify as a stalker. So those are things that celebrities have to deal with. But again, they have people that help them. In LA, they have the Threat Management Unit, which does an outstanding job of handling celebrity stalkers. And also, I'm a member of a group called ATAP. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. And what that is Association of Threat Assessment Professionals. And they have organizations within ATAP that do work with the major studios, Disney, Warner's, etc. And those people protect their clients, and it costs them a great deal of money to do that. So like I said, the average person doesn't get that. I don't get involved with that. I usually deal with celebrity stalkers through their attorneys or through some other venue. I don't directly deal with celebrities, and I do not secure celebrities. I'm a one-man operation, so I don't get involved with that. So hopefully we understand about celebrity stalking. It's a problem. They deserve to be treated just like anybody else. They're victims, and I want their stalkers to be prosecuted. But keep in mind that most of the celebrity stalkers feel that they have a relationship with that individual. They're married to them somehow, or they have a long-term dating relationship which they don't. But they will try to contact their targets, and that's where it becomes a real issue for them. All right, let's move on to the next section.